Step into a world of romance and mystery with Tamora Rose. There's a reason some romantic moments stay with us for years, while entire plot points fade from memory. It's not always the grand declarations of love. It's not always the dramatic kiss in the rain or the sweeping speech beneath moonlight. Sometimes it's something much smaller. A hand lingering just a second too long. A gloved fingertip brushing against another at a candlelit dinner. A lover reaching out in a moment of fear. Those tiny moments often carry more emotional weight than pages of dialogue, because touch speaks a language that words can never fully capture. In romance, physicality is rarely about physicality alone. Touch becomes emotion made visible. It reveals desire, vulnerability, trust, fear, longing, and hope. It allows characters to communicate truths that may not even be able to admit to themselves yet. Think about some of the most beloved historical romances ever written. The hero and the heroine may spend hundreds of pages trapped by social expectations, propriety, family obligations, or personal fears. They cannot openly confess their feelings. They cannot always speak honestly, but they can reach for one another. And sometimes that single gesture says everything. A hand offered while stepping away from a carriage. A dance that lasts a little longer than it should. A palm resting against a waist during a waltz. The beauty of these moments lies in what they represent. The touch itself is simple. The emotions behind it are anything but. Paranormal romance often takes this concept even further. When immortals have lived for centuries, when magic binds souls together, or when supernatural danger lurks in every shadow, touch can become even more sacred. Imagine two lovers separated by decades, perhaps even lifetimes. They finally meet again beneath a moonlit sky. Before they speak, before they explain, before they share their stories, there is a moment when they simply reach for one another. The contact becomes recognition. Proof. Home. Readers feel these moments because they understand them instinctively. Long before human beings learned to write poetry or tell stories, we understood comfort through touch. We learned safety through touch. We learned connection through touch. That emotional memory never truly disappears. This is why anticipation matters so much in romance. Many stories rush toward the kiss as if the kiss itself is the destination. But the most powerful moments happen before any contact occurs. The glance across the room. The awareness of someone's presence. The narrowing distance between two people who desperately want to be closer but cannot quite bridge that gap. There's something magical about the almost touch, the almost confession, the almost surrender. Those moments invite readers to participate. They feel the tension building. They experience the anticipation alongside the characters. Every second stretches longer. Every heartbeat feels louder. When the touch finally happens, it feels earned. This is particularly true in slow burn romance, where emotional investment grows chapter by chapter. A single touch after months of longing can feel more powerful than an entire collection of dramatic romantic scenes. That is because desire often lives in anticipation. The heart races not because something has happened, but because something might happen. Touch also reveals character in fascinating ways. Every person approaches intimacy a little bit differently. Some people reach for others without hesitation. Some hold themselves apart. Some express affection easily. Others guard themselves behind invisible walls. These differences tell us who characters are before they ever explain themselves. A battle-scarred soldier who instinctively shields the heroine from danger may reveal tenderness long before he speaks of love. A heroine who avoids physical contact might reveal old wounds she has never shared. An immortal sorcerer who carefully avoids touching anyone could reveal centuries of loneliness beneath that simple choice. These patterns become a part of the character's identity. Readers begin to recognize them. And when those patterns change, something important has happened. The guarded character finally reaches for someone. The fearful character chooses trust. The isolated character allows connection. Without a single speech, an emotional transformation has taken place. Of course, touch is not always comforting. One of the most powerful tools in romance is the absence of touch. We often think of connection as meaningful, but separation can be equally as devastating. Imagine two lovers standing only feet apart. Nothing physical prevents them from reaching out for one another. Yet neither moves. The distance feels enormous. The silence becomes painful. Readers notice what is missing. The hand that is no longer offered, the embrace that never comes, the familiar gesture that suddenly disappears. Loss often becomes more visible through absence. A relationship in trouble rarely announces itself with dramatic speeches alone. Sometimes it reveals itself through hesitation, through distance, through empty space where warmth once existed. And then comes one of romance's greatest rewards: reconnection. After misunderstandings and heartbreak and sacrifice and separation, there's often a moment when characters find their way back to one another. These scenes do not need grand spectacle. In fact, the quiet moments are often the most moving. A hand offered, fingers intertwined, a forehead resting gently against another, a simple embrace after a long absence. These gestures become symbols of forgiveness, acceptance, and healing. Readers respond so strongly because the emotional meaning behind the touch has been earned through the journey. The contact is not merely physical. It represents everything the characters have survived, everything they have learned, everything they are finally willing to risk. Perhaps that is why romance readers treasure these moments so deeply. Love stories are not really about physical attraction alone. They're about connection, about being understood, about finding someone who sees the parts of us we hide from the rest of the world. Touch becomes a visible expression of that understanding, a reminder that intimacy is not measured by passion alone, but by trust, by safety, by willingness to be vulnerable. Whether the story unfolds in a Regency ballroom, a windswept Scottish castle, a haunted Victorian manor, or a world filled with magic and ancient secrets, the principle remains the same. Touch speaks. It speaks through longing. It speaks through comfort. It speaks through sacrifice, and it speaks through devotion. And often, it says the things words never could. The next time you find yourself captivated by a romance novel, pay attention to these small moments. Notice the brush of fingers, the lingering embrace, the hesitation before contact, and the quiet gestures that seem almost insignificant. Chances are, those are the scenes that will stay with you long after the final page. Because the greatest love stories are not remembered for what was said. They are remembered for what was felt. That's it for today. Tell me about a romance novel that made your heart skip a beat because of a simple touch or a gesture. Until we meet again, may your days be filled with passion and just a touch of magic.